This video is brought to you by my game, Doodling's Arcade Sports Ball, available now on Steam and itch.io. Links are in the description. This week, Valve published a huge update for SteamOS to the preview branch, and we're going to go into all of it today. So let's get right into the news. Essentially, this big update brings a bunch of improvements, so let's talk about them. First, they've rebased SteamOS on a more recent version of Arch. This means newer packages, this means a newer Linux kernel, and more. There's now an improved pairing experience with Apple AirPods, which is a huge deal. They've improved session recovery speeds after GPU crashes. They fixed some connectivity failures with access points supporting WPA3 security. I know that's going to be a big deal for a lot of you out there. They've updated the Linux kernel to version 6.5. They've improved speed of subsequent OS updates. They've improved reliability for certain microSD card usage scenarios. They've enabled support for Bluetooth A2DP and BAP profiles. They added a mechanism to configure which Bluetooth device categories are now allowed to wake up the system from suspend. By default, controllers are the only device that can wake up the system from sleep. Finer-grained UI configuration options will be available as part of a future update. This is huge because I talked about this in one of my previous videos. You can check that out here. Alongside the Linux kernel update, they also brought in a new graphics driver, Mesa 24.1. This includes many performance and correctness improvements, and they improved responsiveness of the Steam UI. They've upgraded to KDE Plasma 5.27.10. They also added some really awesome features to the Steam Deck dock, including a firmware upgrade with compatibility fixes for high refresh rate VRR displays. And they've also added some HDMI CEC features, including TV remote input. I don't even know if you can do that with a PlayStation or Xbox right now. TV wake up, and TV input switching. I can't overstate how important these three features are here, because honestly, this might hint at a future for a Steam Deck console. They've added a bunch of BIOS updates, including overclocking controls on the Steam Deck LCD. They fixed not being able to set the SD card as the default boot device. They adjusted the power LED slow charging threshold, and they fixed spurious LED blinking in S5. Finally, modified files in /etc are now migrated to new OS versions based on a whitelist. This fixes numerous issues with incidentally touched /etc files becoming sticky and persisting unexpectedly. Additional whitelist entries can be added via config fragments. They've also added /etc/previous, containing modifications from the previous update to prevent unexpected data loss. Up to 5 previous snapshots of /etc modifications will be retained. They've also added support for SSH config and SSH deconfig fragments. Now at the top of this list, they've said that they have improved speed for subsequent OS updates. And they've done this with their partners Collabora. And on their blog, Collabora provided a pretty comprehensive look into the challenges that the folks behind SteamOS faced when trying to improve upgrade times. SteamOS offers an atomic upgrade paradigm. That's a fancy way of saying that the process is guaranteed to either succeed and the success will be a predictable state, or given a failure, it will roll back to the exact state before the upgrade started. This is not the default in the Linux world, though it is becoming more and more popular. Now, SteamOS 3.5 and before used a system called CA Sync. However, the team identified some issues with that utility that they wanted to improve. Basically, the computer needs to know what parts of the file system need to be upgraded and which parts can stay the same. On the Steam Deck, this usually means that when you press the Apply Update button, nearly the first full minute of time is spent chunking and hashing the entire image that's currently in use. This is a single-threaded operation, which means one CPU core is pinned at 100% usage for about a minute. It's quite an intensive process that could be multi-threaded, but CA Sync doesn't support multi-threading. Given how CA Sync works, estimating the size of a download on the device would require the same 1 minute of CPU usage. Furthermore, CA Sync doesn't allow multiple parallel HTTPS requests. The biggest problem was that Valve had tried to address many of these issues, submitting patches to CA Sync, but the last public release was in 2017, and it felt like development had come to a halt with the project. Several of the patches that they had submitted still had open pull requests, without any acknowledgement from the maintainers. So they were left with a dilemma with only a few options. They could search for a replacement for CA Sync that addresses the issues that they're talking about. They could provide additional patches to improve CA Sync with the knowledge that those would only ever benefit themselves, or they could replace CA Sync with a different tool. Fortunately, they found Desync, which is a complete re-implementation of CA Sync. So Valve went ahead and replaced CA Sync with Desync in this latest SteamOS 3.6. But it didn't quite meet all of their needs. So they ended up making a few improvements and submitting the patches up to Desync. Now, they made 4 major changes. If you're interested, you can read the article using the link below. But the results are clear. From their testing, they've been able to speed up the update process by 30 to 50%. This will also allow them to quickly reset the currently installed OS to factory conditions using the factory reset option, making it more robust and more reliable. And it also means that the download size of system updates can be quickly estimated. Overall, I found this to be a very interesting read, and it's really great to see Valve and their partners working on updates to open source software that becomes part of our ecosystem. But I'd like to know what you think about all of this. You can feed the engagement algorithm and let me know down in the comments. I think that's going to do it for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.